Well, ABC, ESPN, and Allstate are certainly stirring things up, and not to their benefit. Did you watch the Sugar Bowl after the horrific events that took place on New Year's Day in New Orleans? If you did, there are some things you didn't notice on the broadcast and some things that you did notice. I want to talk with you for a few minutes about those. The ESPN broadcast failed to show the national anthem of all things after a national tragedy such as the one that occurred in New Orleans. Why in the world would they not show the national anthem? And they also did not show the crowd of Georgia fans and Notre Dame fans chanting in unison, USA, USA, USA. You know, I love sports and I love watching sports on ESPN, but I'm almost to the point where I'm going to turn it off. I've had it with this woke craziness. Don't they understand what 77 million Americans just told them? Apparently, they didn't learn anything from the Bud Light debacle. They haven't been watching all the other not all, but many of the other corporations around the United States and the world doing away with DEI, the universities canceling their DEI initiatives. You know why? They don't work. They're not right. That's not the way that we're built. But something you saw on the broadcast was just as bad, if not worse. And that was the message from the Allstate CEO, in which he asked Americans to do away with the divisiveness and accept each other for who we are. Well, I'm sorry, but if you're a dead-gum terrorist, I'm not going to accept you for who you are. And if your religion tells you to kill people, I'm not going to accept that. That's not part of our culture. That's not part of who we are. The divisiveness comes from those who accuse others of dividing. That's the problem. And, we're just going to have to keep pushing. We're going to have to keep pushing. Those of us who believe in making America great again are going to have to keep pushing for that to happen. We're going to have to keep electing our candidates and holding our candidates who achieve office to account. Take a look at these two clips that I put together from the Sugar Bowl, and please share your thoughts with us in the comments.
That's something you'd hear after a fight between opposing fans on Bourbon Street. Let's be clear. An ISIS terrorist killed 15 people in the French Quarter, and Allstate's CEO used a 30-second commercial in the first half of the game, their moment to lecture the country about divisiveness and negativity. Feels a little bit like 2020. To be fair, we asked Allstate CEO Tom Wilson to join us tonight. In shocking news, he declined. We did get this statement from the company's press person. To be clear, Allstate CEO Tom Wilson unequivocally condemns this heinous act of terrorism and violence in all forms. The reference to overcoming divisiveness and negativity reflects a broader commitment to fostering trust and positivity in communities across the nation. This isn't just about ESPN or Allstate. It's about a group of, and I'll put it in air quotes, leaders, but they are CEOs, that refuse to move on from the past, that refuse to realize what the majority of Americans want to hear. Trump ran on a return to patriotism, and Americans agreed in sending him back to the White House. For some reason, corporate America either doesn't get it or doesn't want to get it. We begin tonight with News Nation senior political contributor George Will, Pulitzer Prize-winning columnist for The Washington Post. George, I put leaders in air quotes, and I don't think I have ever seen a group of cowards quite in the way of Bob Iger and Mr. Wilson at Allstate. But why is there this moment in American history that they refuse to acknowledge?
Leland, they're the last to learn, but they are learning. They really are. Look, if you're head of the U.S. widget manufacturers company, you know everything in the world about widgets and you're really good at it, but you're not so good at the rest of the world and the rest of life. But they're catching up. All over the country, companies are retreating from the diversity, equity, inclusion, woke agenda, where they were supposed to have a sort of racial spoil system in allocating jobs and investments and all the rest. One industry after another, John Deere, how American can you get? Walmart, they're all retreating from this, in part, Leland, because conservative lawyers are on the case. They're saying, we had a civil rights movement in this country for decades that said you shall not allocate the rewards of life on the basis of race, and they're taking them to court. They say when you have an intern program restricted to people of a particular race, that's against equal protection of the laws. It's against civil rights laws, hard written into law over tremendous opposition. So, as I say, the private sector is sometimes the last to learn, but they're learning and they're catching up.